Well, I'm sure it's in a lot of people's minds that, you know, I mean, why you would like to take up the role or the responsibility of the elected president of Singapore. What are your motivations for pursuing such a course of action?
I think when I was at the election rallies, I could feel this sense of anger among us, in our citizens, and it was intense. It was not just anger. The words they used were quite strong, especially even from the spectators. And I usually come up. I think this is not good for the country. I hope, I said, when the election is over and everybody is more sane in the sense that when all these hustings is over, we must come together again. But I'm not so sure whether it can come so easily, because people always remember the negative things. They always forget the good things. So I was thinking, maybe if I can be able to get whether you're opposition, whether you are also PAP together, then I would like to be that unifying figure for all Singaporeans to gel together, in spite of the political affiliations, in spite of their race and religion and so on. I think it is something I would like to do when I saw all this anger going around. And the other thing is, I always feel that there must be an election, because the elected presidency has already saw no contest 2 times. And Singaporeans probably don't understand what elected presidency is about. And true enough, you find that people asking me to ask the government, as if you become a president, would you remove the GRC system? Would you do your housing? Can you bring down the cost? Do this? So it's obvious that the Singaporeans don't really understand what an elected president is like. So I'm quite glad that J.R. Kumar has actually laid down for us all what are the things the elected president can really do. But also to be an elected president, I think there must be a high degree of independence. You must be an independent thinking individual, because we don't want the people to have this perceived idea that they're all too close together. So it's very difficult for, say, the government in power to have a president also similarly aligned to the government. So I think I have that strict independent thinking from my past performance in Parliament, and also the things I do. So I thought maybe it's very important. This important of check and balances. You must have this check and balance. If you don't have this check and balance, I think Singaporeans will be very unhappy. One of the things I notice about Singaporeans now is fairness. All the young people, they want fairness. That's why when you change your GRC system, they get angry. They say it's not fair. So don't ignore this. This is a very important trait now that Singaporeans they have now, fairness. So if you talk about fairness, you must not only talk about it, you must really do it, And so I thought that you need a really independent-minded person to as a president, to safeguard your reserves.
Professor S. Jayakumar said recently that the president has some discretionary custodial powers, but that the president is not a separate center of power distinct from the government. And that other than these specific areas, the President constitutionally has to act on the advice of the Cabinet, and this is the legal position and the legal stand. Do you agree with what Professor S. Jayakumar said?
I think what S. Jayakumar said is correct. I don't expect too much of the presidency. But having said that, the President can still ask relevant questions. It doesn't mean that every time you must go in with this thinking that I'm going to fight people, I'm going to get it. I think if at the end of the day, Singaporeans are assured by the President that transactions happening over that particular period, 1 year, has been in order, and that there is that the reserves has been managed properly, then I think you should let the people know. Because as I said, fairness is very, very important. And I think to do that, actually, you must have certain idea of how finances are managed. So that's why I think that they are so strict about the criteria of the president.
People have it in their minds that the president, the elected president, is no more than a highly paid figure with very few real powers. What is your reaction to this comment?
No, I think the powers, you see, it depends on how you all view it. If blocking power is also important power. It's a very important tool already. You can block already, remember? But you cannot initiate, that's right. You can block, but you can't initiate. If something you block the whole thing, the machinery stops already. So I think you want to go down to very, very detailed, it's very difficult. It all depends on the situation of the day.
You also touched on the topic of the reserves. Well, I'm sure you're familiar with the former president, Ong Teng Cheong, who famously butted heads with the ruling party when he asked for information about Singapore's national reserves. Do you foresee similar problems for Singapore's next president?
It would depend on what's the situation like. But Singaporeans must bear in mind there's certain thing a president, you cannot just pressure the president to let you know all the reserves, how much money Singapore got and so on. I think this is very dangerous. It's against our national interest. You know, you all must remember there are always Singapore watchers looking at us. So be very careful. So I don't want to touch on this yet because I'm not a candidate yet, you see. But what I want you all to know is that it doesn't mean that you got to let the whole world that Singapore got so many billions and so on. You will ask yourself whether it is wise or not, you know. And as a president, is a wise president to just tell the whole world there was so much reserve and make Singaporeans happy. But the Singapore watchers will come after you.
Maybe not in the actual facts and figures, but maybe a bit of transparency in the process.
I agree.
Procedure.
I agree. There must be transparency. I think we can give assurance. I think as a president, can give assurance, simple assurance that there nothing irregular has happened. I think this is a fair comment. You see. But if you want him to, I want to know how much money, how many billions we have. I think very careful, think carefully, because there are two aspects to all this thing: the interest of the Singaporeans and outside interests also.